Carol Burnett made millions laugh for over a decade, yet one sketch in 1977 left her visibly shaken. She never watched it again. The crew cried during rehearsals. Audiences were stunned. Critics called it brilliant. But why would America's funniest woman refuse to face her own performance for 47 years? The story behind that moment, and the life that shaped it, is as remarkable as her humor itself. Carol Burnett was born on April 26, 1933, in San Antonio, Texas, into a world that was far from kind. Her parents were both alcoholics. Her father held odd jobs at a movie theater but could never maintain stability. Her mother, equally consumed by drink, was emotionally absent. By the time Carol and her sister were toddlers, they had already learned a harsh truth. The people who should love you most might choose bottles over bedtime stories. From her earliest years, Carol knew the sting of feeling unwanted. Nights were long, filled with uncertainty, neglect, and longing. But when her parents could no longer care for her, salvation came from an unexpected source: her maternal grandmother, Mabel White. In 1940, Mabel moved Carol and the family to Hollywood, hoping for a better life. But Hollywood wasn't glamorous for them. They lived in a tiny, dilapidated room in a rundown boarding house, surrounded by neighbors struggling with addiction, mental illness, and poverty. In the midst of that chaos, Mabel offered Carol something priceless: unconditional love. Though the room was cramped and the money scarce, Carol finally felt safe. And it was there, in that unpredictable environment, that she invented a secret escape: a pretend twin sister named Karen. Karen was everything Carol was not: confident, radiant, and perpetually cheerful. Carol would transform into Karen, changing her clothes, her hair, her posture, even her voice. She would emerge as Karen to the other tenants, who believed the creation was real. Minutes later, she'd return as Carol. It was more than a game, it was survival. That duality, the ability to inhabit multiple personas, would later become the foundation of her legendary comedic skill. Movies provided another sanctuary. Every Saturday, Carol and Mabel scraped together 25 cents each for a ticket to the cinema. For a few magical hours, they escaped the peeling paint, the shouting, the hunger. On screen, life shimmered with beauty, order, and laughter. And Carol didn't just watch, she absorbed. She mimicked every inflection and yell, practicing Johnny Weissmuller's famous Tarzan call over and over until it became perfect. Little did she know, this playful imitation was training the breath control and stage presence that would later mesmerize millions. What began as a child's game became an essential tool in her comedic arsenal. Carol dreamed of becoming a journalist, inspired by her mother's unfulfilled ambition. UCLA was her goal, but tuition was a barrier she couldn't overcome. Then, as if fate itself intervened, a stranger, whose identity she never learned, paid the $50 needed to enroll. No strings, no explanations. Just an anonymous gift that would change the trajectory of her life. At UCLA, Carol enrolled as a journalism student, honoring her mother's memory. But then she took an elective theater class, and everything changed. On stage, she discovered a voice, a presence, and a talent that demanded attention. She wasn't shy anymore, she was alive. Journalism suddenly felt too small. She switched majors and the risk paid off. By the end of her freshman year, she was named the most promising newcomer in UCLA's theater program, a title that would later prove prophetic. By 1954, Carol was working as an usherette, barely scraping by. Then, at a party in San Diego, she met a sharply dressed stranger, a millionaire shipbuilder. He wasn't in show business, but he made Carol an offer that sounded almost like a dream. $1,000 for her, $1,000 for her boyfriend Don Soyan to move to New York. There were 3 conditions: never reveal his name, use the money only to reach New York, and if successful, help others along the way. That anonymous gift launched her Broadway journey and set the stage for a life of extraordinary achievement. New York was unforgiving. Carol shared a room at the rehearsal club with 4 other aspiring actresses, all vying for attention. There was one bathroom, one closet, and an unrelenting competition for every opportunity. But Carol thrived. She worked by night, auditioned by day, and performed whenever possible. Her first big break was a ridiculous song about John Foster Dulles, the ultra-serious Secretary of State. The lyrics were absurd, the performance tongue-in-cheek, but Carol delivered it with impeccable timing. Audiences laughed until they cried. Television appearances on The Jack Paar Show and Ed Sullivan Show followed. By 1959, Carol landed the lead in Once Upon a Mattress, a small off-Broadway musical that would become a sensation. She played Princess Winifred, a clumsy, loud, and unconventional princess. Critics were hesitant at first, but audiences couldn't get enough. Carol earned her first Tony nomination, and within 5 years of receiving that mysterious financial gift, she repaid it in full. The benefactor remained anonymous, a secret she would carry for the rest of her life. Television soon became her domain. From 1959 to 1962, Carol honed her skills on The Gary Moore Show, winning her first Emmy in 1962. She worked with rising stars like Don Knotts and Jonathan Winters, learning timing, improvisation, and audience engagement. By 1967, the Carol Burnett Show premiered, forever changing television. For 11 years, it captivated 30 million viewers each week, winning 25 Emmy Awards, multiple Golden Globes, and People's Choice Awards. Carol wasn't just a star. She was a pioneer, one of the first women to lead a variety show, opening doors for generations of female comedians. Yet behind the laughter, life wasn't always kind. Harvey Korman, her trusted co-star, nearly walked away during the show's 7th season. Carol demanded honesty and discipline, and when Korman returned, she commemorated his comeback with a plaque on his dressing room door that read, "Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky." Tim Conway's improvisational brilliance created iconic, unpredictable moments, like the legendary Elephant Story sketch that defined the show's soul. Raw, unscripted, and utterly hilarious. Then came 1977. A sketch called The Gong Show, featuring Carol as Eunice Higgins, changed everything. No jokes, no exaggerated antics, just raw, unembellished pain. Eunice sang her dreams, only to be ridiculed by the judges. The camera lingered on her tear-streaked face as silence filled the studio. Crew members were close to tears. Audiences were stunned. Critics hailed it as brilliant. For Carol, though, it was unbearable. The sketch hit too close to home, echoing her own childhood struggles with poverty, rejection, and disappointment. She never watched it again. The episode inspired a TV movie in Mama's Family, but Carol kept her distance, believing her purpose was to bring joy, not highlight pain. Her personal life mirrored her public trials. Carol married Don Soyen in 1955, but tragedy struck when his daughter from a previous marriage died. Their marriage ended by 1962. While Carol's career soared, Don struggled, ultimately succumbing to depression and alcoholism. In 1963, she married TV producer Joe Hamilton. Together, they had 3 daughters, Carrie, Jody, and Erin. The household was chaotic, with Joe's 8 children from a previous marriage adding to the bustle. Despite 5 Emmy wins for Joe, domestic life was challenging. Carol faced public scrutiny as well, including a false tabloid claim that she had been drunk near Henry Kissinger. She sued, winning a partial settlement, and set a precedent for media accountability. Family tragedy continued. Carrie, her eldest, struggled with drug addiction as a teenager. Carol and Joe fought tirelessly to save her. Carrie eventually recovered, only to die of lung cancer at 38. Despite grief, Carol honored her daughter's memory by completing Hollywood Arms, a play based on her life. Even in later years, Carol's resilience remained extraordinary. She married Brian Miller in 2001, who became her steadfast support after Carrie's death. They assumed custody of her grandson Dylan when Aaron struggled with addiction. Carol's life was a testament to love, courage, and responsibility, protecting family even at immense personal cost. Her career continued into her 90s. In 2022, at 91, she starred in Palm Royale on Apple TV+, improvising dialogue and performing complex physical comedy. She earned an Emmy nomination as the oldest female nominee in history. She had previously returned to Broadway in Putting It Together and lent her voice to animated films like Horton Hears a Who and The Trumpet of the Swan, introducing herself to new generations while maintaining the warmth and wit that defined her legacy. From a lonely child in Texas to queen of comedy and television, Carol Burnett's life is a testament to triumph over adversity. Her laughter lifted millions. Her creativity broke barriers. Her resilience inspired generations. She showed the world that even amidst heartbreak, one can create joy, find purpose, and leave an enduring legacy. Carol Burnett didn't just make people laugh. She taught the world the power of perseverance, compassion, and unwavering dedication to family and craft. For that, she remains unforgettable.